Good midday to you. This is the midday moment for July the 7th, 2026, here on Following Him, the Disciple Life, where we try to take a perspective of things from the standpoint of a disciple of the Messiah, being able to flinch. We recently had Independence Day, 250, pretty big birthday there for the United States of America. And I did have the opportunity, was blessed with being able to spend some time with fellow Christians. And I actually did not stay for fireworks. I'm being kind of protective of my sleep right now, but I did stay long enough to spend some time with folks and to eat some food. So you gotta make sure you get that in. And at this gathering, there were actually some folks that had the what they call snap pop things, the things you throw that make a loud bang and stuff. And so while we weren't setting off any fireworks yet, there was definitely noisy stuff happening. I mean, hey, it's the American way when it comes to Independence Day, right? And yeah, so just good fun stuff. But I noticed something, and this is something I have worked on over the years and trained myself to do. I didn't startle at any of it, like none of it. I didn't flinch at any of it. I heard it, and it registered. Not startled at all. And I actually personally, and anybody that knows me hears this probably now make it their mission to startle me, but I over the years I have trained myself to not startle easily and to not flinch easily. And this might be overcorrection from when I was younger. I think I was probably a more skittish kid when I was younger. So yeah, I don't really startle. I don't flinch very easily. I do sometimes. It's not to say it never happens. And I've not lost the ability to, though. And particularly if something is completely surprising and is really out of the ordinary, I will. And you don't want to completely lose that ability. You want to be able to react. You still need to be able to flinch. You don't want to become so calloused and jaded you have no reaction whatsoever. We have this clip that's going around from the Tyler Robinson trial, and it's of the judge at this trial, and it is they're watching the footage of Charlie Kirk being assassinated. And all the evidence does seem to point, from everything I've seen, does seem to point that this was Tyler Robinson that did this assassination. But in this, you have the judge flinching when when he actually is struck. And I'm trying to say it such a way so the YouTube and TikTok censorship stuff doesn't kick in. Sometimes it overcorrects on that stuff, but yeah, and he flinches when this happens, and I would submit that's a good thing. I'm not saying you have to flinch when you watch it. I actually don't think I did, and that might be my overcorrection, but it bothered me. I definitely flinched internally. We don't want to lose the ability to flinch as a society. It's not a good thing when we become completely calloused. We have this warning in Proverbs 4:23 about keeping your heart without diligence. Out of it spring the issues of life. We have a type of person that Paul talks about in 2 Timothy 4:2 that have had their conscience seared with a hot iron. Sometimes you become so callous and so jaded, it can extend to your conscience. And because things, not only do you not react, passionately or emotionally to everything, but you get to the point where you have no reaction, something doesn't affect you at all. And it's not only are you not shocked by it, but you're not bothered by it at all on any level. That can lead to moral degradation. And we see this thing. People that are mocking the motion that Charlie physically made when he was struck by the bullet. You have people putting laughing. The laughing emoji thing is getting old so quick, so quick. And people putting the laughing emojis, on footage and stuff, or on Erica Kirk when she's crying, and people mocking a widow's pain. And I'm seeing a lot of that, and it's to be blunt, it's disturbing and disgusting. We don't want to lose our ability to flinch. Watch your heart. It's good, particularly, like I say, I do think the man has a particular call to be a protector and provider for his family. You're not, it's not going to be a good thing to get, emotional with everything, at least not at the moment. There are times you do have to keep that in check. You don't want to be overreactive to things, and you don't need to startle and flinch at everything. But to lose that ability, I would suggest Scripture tells us to be wary of our hearts. I would not suggest it. I would assert it based on what I read. We need to be wary of our hearts and what's going on. We need to be careful we don't get seared consciences, too jaded, too calloused. There are things that should bother us. A man being unalived because somebody didn't like what he says, doesn't matter what side of the political aisle you're on, that should bother you. It would bother me if this were done to a leftist. It would. I would typically be classified as on the right, although I have a lot of criticism towards people on the right. It should bother you to hear about the things that happened to Israel on October 7, 2023. I would submit it also, too, this is a whole discussion. I do think a country has the right to defend itself, and there are tragically sometimes civilian deaths, but we shouldn't grow callous to those civilian deaths. And while sometimes they might be an unfortunate result of what a country has to do, you don't want to ever get to the point. I saw one person that was defending Israel, and I agree with what he said, but then basically said that he didn't care about the deaths occurring in Gaza. I might support Israel's right to defend itself, but I'm not going to say I don't care about the deaths there. We need to still be able to flinch. We still need to be bothered by some things. We don't want to grow jaded. We don't want to grow callous, even if they're on the other side of the aisle, even if they're connected with the enemy. That, by the way, Christ commands us to love. We don't want to grow so callous and jaded that these things don't bother us. We need to have the heart of Christ. You have a good rest of the day. Lord willing, hopefully Tuesday tips will be posted here in a little bit. And shalom.